What's going on, everybody? It's your best buddy Basil here. Gonna make sure that everything's working. Looks like it's all working. You know what? You're here, I'm here. Why don't I just go ahead and click this? There we go. First Clubhouse. Since getting the new VR headset, so far working good. You guys also can't see it on camera, but I also got some upgrades to the chair. You literally, just right below the camera here, I've got a attachment on my chair that holds the keyboard. Now you probably don't notice because I'm such an expert and natural VR podcaster during the show. But I'm usually balancing the keyboard on my knee, maybe between both knees, maybe the arm of the chair and the knee, managing that, flipping it around, moving my legs. It falls, I catch it. You don't even notice. I put it back. Now I've got this little platform here attached to the chair. Booyah! I can tell it came straight from a second-rate factory in China somewhere, but it's doing the job. Pretty excited about that. Also got the same thing for a mouse right here. Look at that. Okay. Well, that's feeding the ducks. You know it. You love it. It's everybody's favorite stock-free, royalty-free music that comes with the streaming software. It is good stuff. And remember, I'm excited to talk to you guys today. This is a call-in show. We will be premiering Gonza's new Beyond the Verse about Jesus' return. So you're going to want to stick around for that. It'll be a jumping off point for conversation. Let's see here. What I am going to need to do is to... Oh, I'm on a new browser. So here's the thing. Remember, we're still in the pre-show, okay? We're in the pre-show. We're going to go ahead and get into the real show in a moment. But if you're watching live, you're special because you get to be here for the pre-show where we just make sure everything works. We're going to get the real show started in about 10 seconds. Oh no. Oh no. In order to share my screen, I might have to restart the browser. That's not good. Let's hope that that's not the case. Let me try this. I'm going to go like this. What am I going to do? Let's try this one. Ooh, it also shares the tab audio now. This is brilliant. Okay, there we go. We're set up. We're good. I don't need to restart any browsers. Here we go. All right. Well, that's the cue, folks. Remember, you can see the call-in link right down there in the description of the thing. Click on that. It'll ask you just a couple questions. Then it'll put you in the back room of the studio where you can hang out, just chill until the time comes where it's time, it's time. When it's time. The time it's going to be time. Here's what I'm going to do. I noticed there's one other thing that I do not have prepared is the timer. Because, of course, going to need a timer just so everybody knows what time it is once we take calls. And people can see that, appreciate that. We set a 10-minute timer on the calls, but it's not a hard deadline. It's just there to help us keep track of how long we've been chatting. Because, of course, we all know that I can go forever and ever if there's not some sort of digital accountability in the form of a timer. We have handed over our experience of time to robots, so why not just let them do the whole thing? Okay, who do we got in the chat? Oh, we got people coming in. Okay, good. People are here. Wonderful. Caretaker Dan says, sound is a little scratchy. The glitchiness went away after the music. Interesting. That's Monica. Jason says, I don't think I'm one of the 144,000. Well, who knows, Jason? Miss Nedge says, greetings and salutations. Psalm 40's here. There we go. Okay. Psalm 40 says, maybe I'll call in with some little season stuff. I would love that. There's one thing that I might as well just start the show so I can get this on the podcast version, which reminds me to press record. There we go. Now we're recording the show so the podcast can be recorded and sent out to all the people. Yeah, last Thursday it was kind of fun. We got to have Sir Ike call in and give his rundown, his research on Antimony and Black Rock Desert and Burning Man. I think we had a great conversation there. It kind of opened up our eyes that Clubhouse is a great opportunity to kind of let you guys, Canarians, come in and give some reports. Let us know what's going on. What have you been researching? What are you looking into? It's not too much pressure. You're just here talking to me. It's like you are presenting to your best buddy some research that you're doing. We could do this on Thursdays, and who knows, once we give some people some opportunity to develop their skills and being live and giving presentations, we could even do little segments on CCNT. It could be fun. Let's see here. Krillin says you need those bigger eyes, Baz, and I like the idea of the whole bunch of little eyes too. Yeah, that's funny. I didn't think about that. Okay, maybe we'll get the show started because I do have. Hold on. Let me see if I can reach it. Let me see. Where is it? Oh, it's way over there. Okay, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go get the things. You're so far away. Oh, my bones. Okay, got them. So I have some various sizes here. These are just the big ones. I think this was the size. These might actually even be a little small compared to the old ones. Yeah, they're pretty big. They are pretty big. You could do something like that. 2 different sizes. That gives some dynamics. That's kind of fun. Or let's see what other sizes I got here. It's kind of fun. This new headset, I can actually see what I'm doing. We've got this size. Put this one like right here. And of course, I've got an infinite amount of tiny ones. Problem is, once I start putting them further down, these sensors on the VR headset start going a little bonkers. So that's why these are a little high. These do sit a little high for my taste. Kind of got like a weird angle to it. But once I start putting things right around here, then it starts getting in the way of the sensors and things start getting a little crazy. But yeah, doing a biblically accurate angel thing, that could be fun. I'm into that. We'll give it a try. Sir Darren says likes the large one. Bro, do one medium, one large. I kind of did like that look. It's like kind of a crazy look, but adds some dynamics to the thing. Okay. Well, I think that means it's time to start the show. We're going to do that. You folks know how this works. You are going to sit there and watch while I do this. I'm going to put this up here. I'm going to hit the jingle, and we'll start the show. Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Called it. We got a caller. We got a caller on the line here.
That's right. What's up, everybody? You are listening to Canary Clubhouse and Razzle Dazzle. I'm your best buddy, Basil. You know me. You're here for a reason. If you don't know me, you will. You'll know me better than maybe you've ever known any other internet personality. It tends to be the way it goes, but that's what happens. That's what happens when you spend your whole life in a VR headset screaming into the void. The void starts screaming back, and that's you. Congratulations. Big shout out to everybody who got here through the Canary Cry text message alert system. Here's the thing. On today's text, I did ask you to let me know if you got the message. Just reply back with anything, whatever you want. Even thumbs up, that's fine. because I've gotten a few messages from a few people who continue to text and they say, I'm not getting the text. I'm not getting the text. I'm not getting the text. And I'm looking at the thread with them that shows the text that went out there. It's very possible that the phone service providers are catching on some sort of list that they are not letting the text through. I mean, it wouldn't be surprising. I guess it would be a little disappointing. There we go. Thank you, people, letting me know. But here's the thing. You got to join the text message alert system. That's the thing to do. We all know how it goes. We have trained ourselves to be so reliant on the big tech platforms, whether it's X or Facebook or YouTube or whatever. We don't even go looking for things anymore. We don't go looking because we don't feel like we need to go looking. And indeed, we trust with all of our hearts the big platforms that their algorithms, their timeline will show us what we need to see, what they want us to see, not what we want to see, but what we need to see, because they know us better than we know ourselves, of course. And when we so easily get trained for that to be the case, and I'm talking to myself too, I'm talking to everybody, this is the world that we live in. We're trained to just go, huh, boop, boop. I have 3 seconds. I cannot let the quietness in my mind overwhelm me for 3 seconds while I'm waiting here at the dentist as the dentist is switching from the large diameter tooth drill to the small diameter tooth drill, just right in the middle of the dental procedure there. He takes a second, he wipes the sweat from his brow, and he's switching out a tool. And there's like 3 to 5 seconds there before he dives back in to get the job done. And you're sitting there thinking, oh no, I can't sit here with the quiet of my own mind for 3 to 5 seconds. I've never wanted the dentist to dive in with a sharp implement into my mouth faster than I do right now. As the milliseconds tick by, I can feel my primal mind losing its grip on reality. Can I trust my thoughts? Are my thoughts my thoughts? I don't know. Am I being piloted by some sort of otherworldly interdimensional video game player? And then the dentist comes back and he says, open wide, and then you do, and it's just a relief. It's a relief because now the drilling, and the weird little song that the dentist is whistling, his little whistle while you work song. I don't know if your dentist does this, but mine does too. He sings a little song, and now I love that song. I used to be a little annoyed by it, but now it means as long as I hear that song, I know that the drill is not far behind, and then I won't have to hear the emptiness of my own consciousness. And that's why we trust and love the algorithms to just give us what we need, give us what we want, give us what we deserve. And so we don't go searching for things that we want anymore. We forget that it's Monday or Wednesday or Thursday and that we should be tuning into some Canary Cry family of product. Our soul feels it. The spirit tells us that this is what we need, but we don't know it. We're so desensitized to the spirit and the things that are invisible right in front of our faces that we don't even notice that we have something missing in our life. And so we don't even know to go looking for something. These are all the things that the robots, the algorithms, the lizard people have trained us to do, and not just do, but also be like. And you sort of are what you do in the end. So if we are just waiting for the algorithm to tell us what is next to fill up our consciousness for a split second between dental drill changes, then what exactly are we? I don't know. I'm asking you these questions, not me. So that's why you want to get on the Canary Cry text message alert system. And it's easy to do. It's right here. Just text the word canary to 877-740-3226. Again, just the word canary to 877-740-3226. And you will begin to receive text messages before we go live on Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And I'm not saying anything that I shouldn't, but perhaps a little birdie told me we might even be doing an episode on a different day next week. We'll find out. But there's only one way to find out, and that is to text the word Canary to 877-740-3226. And the fun part is, not only will you be reminded when we're going live, so you can actually take some control back in your life and not just be sort of a mindless automaton being trained and controlled by other mindless automatons that have been built and trained by other sort of more reptilian mindless automatons, but you'll get a little message from me. I write all of them. They are not automated. They are done by hand, handcrafted by your best buddy. Text messages that just tells you, hey, we're getting started. So if you want to join us, you should join us. And maybe there's a link or two in there, or maybe there's a reminder for something. But you won't get those unless you text the word Canary to 877-740-3226. But the fun part is you can text me back at that number. Okay? That's the thing. You can text me whatever you want. And trust me, people have taken me up on that. I have had secrets revealed to me that no other human has ever heard. I have received the deepest, darkest feelings that strike in those 3 seconds between dental drill changeovers. And don't worry, they are safe with me. However, sometimes I do read them on the show, so don't send anything you wouldn't want read on the show. And I read them. I love them. Sometimes I do read them on the show. I'll read one right now. Let's say 970. Keep an ear out for your area code. People are figuring out there's Canarians in their area code through this, which is another reason why, all together now, you should text Canary to 877-740-3226. There you go. 970 says, yay to the Clubhouse and God bless the Canarium. Thank you, 970. A few people let me know they got it. Let's see, 719. Yay, basil time. Thank you, 719. 440 says we got text over here in Ohio. God bless, guys. Thank you, Trillium. Okay, Ohio got the text. That's good. Amen. Amen. Let's see. 214 says, ooh, you better start cooking if you're gonna. So this is okay. Hello, I see you. Let's see here. DDD. What else? 518 says, much love from 518. 406 says, I got the text. Do you need an account of done kind to call in? I said, no, you don't need an account to call in. You just get the little, link is down there in description. You click on that. It'll ask you a couple questions, like just a name you want to be seen as, and you got to give it permission to listen to your mic. And then it'll put you in the back room on your browser, Safari, whatever, I guess Chrome. And it's easy peasy. Make sure, please, for me, make sure that you're in kind of a quiet room. You've got a good signal. But I will say I'm very happy about the recent upgrades to the system over here. Not only does the connection seem to work better, not only am I more at home, maybe our headset that wasn't made in 1984, it seems as though the jingles are performing better. See, it starts right at the beginning. It was pausing for a couple. They seem to be, let's try this one. Nope, that one didn't start. Let's see if a different one. Okay, well, at least they're doing better sometimes. So, keep in mind, text message people, I can't text you back. I can't carry on a conversation with you. It's very expensive for us, and we don't have the money to carry on dozens of conversations via some sort of expensive text message program. But see them and I love them. All right. Well, folks, you know what today is. Of course, it's Thursday. It's Canary Cry Clubhouse. We are going to be premiering Gonza's new Beyond the Verse, which will be available, will be dropping on Saturday, except if you're here at Canary Cry Clubhouse, where you can watch it early, listen to it early. Not only that, but get reaction comments from me. You can call in, discuss it if it had anything to do with what's going on in your life or brought you any inspiration, or if you want to argue about it or disagree with it. these are all things. These are all part of the human experience here, and all are allowed. They don't scare me. And so we'll be doing that real quick. Let me see here. We do already have somebody in the waiting room. Dear person waiting in the waiting room, in the private chat in there, why don't you let me know if you would prefer to wait till after the Beyond the Verse is played, or if you want to get in and talk first. I am open to whatever. It is a pretty loosey-goosey show today, folks. I did have something weird happen. This morning, I woke up. Okay, I don't know how to. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out what comes first. I guess the dream comes first. I had a dream where somebody I knew was standing in my bedroom, looking out the window, and says, "The emus escaped." For those who don't know, if you're new or just somehow missed this in some wild twist of fate, I have two emus. They are beautiful. They are large, and they're a lot of responsibility. I live out off the grid on some land here. Got some emus, right? Lots of stories have been told over the years about these emus escaping and how it's about a 24-hour process to try to catch them, bring them back. It's a whole thing. It just ruins the day. Sometimes it ruins a couple days. The emus can get hurt. Almost inevitably always get hurt. And it's a whole big project. So I'm sleeping. I have a dream. This person I know stands at the bedroom window. They look out the window and they say, "The emus got out." And I go, "What? Really?" And they go, "Yeah, but they're just right there." Very calm. They're just right there. And then I wake up this morning and I look out the windows, and the emus had escaped. They were not in their pen. The door was wide open. I don't know how it happened. Demons, probably. But to my surprise and my relief, guess what? The emus were just right there. They were just hanging out. Believe it or not, it was very Snow White. They were sort of hanging out with some bunnies, not my bunnies who are safe in their pen, but wild bunnies, which happened to be a crossbreed between some bunnies that I had who escaped and some wild hares. I've created this brand new species of bunny, which is part Flemish giant, part, wild jackrabbit, which is a crazy looking bunny. For those who don't know about jackrabbits and hares and things like that, they look more like dogs. They're very tall, they stand very upright, not like floofy, plooping, plopping, cute little bunnies with furry tails and things. Wild hares, they look like dogs. They stand straight up on these extremely long legs, and their tail is long, like a dog's tail. They do have the giant ears. That's one thing that not every dog has. But I had some bunnies over the years. There's been about 2 or 3 great bunny escapes. I've often been able to bring them back. They're very docile, very food motivated, so pretty easy to get them back in the cage. But there have been some that have never come home. And every year I notice just how strange of an effect adding some Flemish giant domesticated bunny DNA into the wild hare population has created a very strange breed of rabbit. I could probably, I don't know, patent it or something, start selling these designer bunnies. But anyways, the emus had escaped, which is horrifying to wake up to. But they're just chilling right there, just right by the garden, hanging out. There's a couple bunnies around them. I cannot tell if the bunnies and the emus are friends or if they're co-conspirators or if one is predating the other. Emus have been known to be predators to small furry animals, but then the craziest thing happened. I just go outside, and instead of having to chase down these emus and hypnotize them and trick them into letting me throw a towel over their head and carry them for a quarter mile back to the pen, they simply just follow me. They just follow me right back through the open gate and they're both safe and sound, which has literally never happened before. So today is a little bit of a strange day for a few reasons, but what really, really is still bugging me out a little bit is that I had that dream right before it actually. And look, we've had the discussion before about what are dreams, dreaming about things that eventually happen versus not eventually happen, premonition dreams versus like some sort of communication or message versus just wild synapse firing in our own head. What is going on like that? But that never in my life have I had as an immediate. I mean, it must have been, I don't know, an hour. I know time is weird in dreams, and some people say you only dream for like the last 45 seconds of sleeping or something, but I don't know. It felt like there was some time in between there. Or maybe the emus are aliens, and maybe they're telepathically, they were just telling me, hey, we're out here, but don't worry, we're here. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but it's a weird day. Um, 706 just texted, says, hey, Basil, have you ever done a deep dive on how the interest rates from the Fed affect the U.S. ability to pay the interest on the national debt versus the inflation rate and currency devaluation? The bond market and the U.S. dollar fell in April during the Trump tariff tantrum, and apparently that's never happened before. Thought that might be interesting for you to look into. Trevor, thank you very much, Trevor. Yes, actually, I've never done an official full breakdown with notes and charts and graphs and things, but I have in various times of needing to fill time on air, taken the opportunity to give my opinion on everything going on with the Fed and interest rates and things like that. In fact, it was not too long ago that I presented this book, Secrets of the Temple. Sorry, it's mirrored there, but read it backwards. It's a very big book about, let me see exactly how much it is. I'm going to guess 800 pages. Oh, hard to see. Can I see like this? Can you see? It's backwards. 897, 798 pages, which gives an exhaustive history of the entire Federal Reserve and every single financial decision they've ever made, which is very interesting. So yes, I've mentioned it before, but I'm always down to dive deeper into that because that's what you really, out of all the conspiracies, out of all the narratives, out of all the ways at looking at what's going on in the world, I would say the most important one, the one that explains most and makes the least amount of assumptions, not to say that the others are wrong, but the best predictive narrative to look at world events through is the financial one, is the economic one. It's the most base motivation that the most powerful people in the world uh, have. You can get into motivations, you can get into spiritual motivations, you can get into historical motivations, religious motivations, occult motivations, all these things. And these apply to different situations in different amounts. But the economic one is guaranteed in every single sort of geopolitical event. And so, yes, one of the big problems we're seeing now, Trump's entire battle with the Federal Reserve, his decision for the tariffs, his lack of sort of, I don't know, what's the word? His lack of alarm over many of the sort of economic alarm bells going off right now, including the Labubu's. You gotta look at the Labubu craze through the economic lens, and it'll tell you everything you need to know. The reason that he's needs all this to happen and why chaos is actually in his best interest is because the more chaos he can create, and the best kind of chaos, remember, Trump is a great chaos magician, if you're going to believe the high witch of the occult world, Marina Abramovich. She said it multiple times herself, that Trump, whether he knows it or not, very powerful chaos magician, chaos magic being the most popularized and perhaps most influential of the 20th century, thanks to Aleister Crowley and those types. of mid-century magicians, occultists. Uh, Chaos is a benefit to chaos magicians. It does. We all think of chaos. Most of us, we don't like chaos. It makes things hard to predict. It makes things hard to benefit from. It's hard to know what's going on. Usually we just get a little freaked out and we freeze. Usually when the world is chaotic, one of the first things we do is freeze because we don't want to make a bad decision. We want to make a good decision. And chaos in the world is one of the elite's most favorite ways of making sure that nobody does anything, that nobody makes any rash decisions, that nobody, you know, you get the point. The chaos is a freezing factor, but for someone like Donald Trump, chaos is almost always beneficial. You can see that through every single trial and tribulation that man has gone through over his entire life, but especially his political career here. It doesn't matter how much chaos, doesn't matter how much it seems things are stacked against him and how little control he has over anything. The chaos has always benefited him. And this chaos economically looks like it may benefit him. We have I believe it's $7 to $9 trillion worth of debt that comes due as a country this year, which means we either have to pay it off or refinance it. Well, this is America, so what do? We refinance. This is inevitably what's going to crash the whole system in the first place. But he needs to refinance, and refinancing the national debt, 7 to 9 trillion of it, at a high interest rate. The math shows out. Lots of economics have done the math here. What am I saying? Economists. Whew. Lots of economists have done the math. If Trump were to refinance $9 trillion at the current interest rates today, the entire system collapses in 2033. Interesting number, right? What are you going to do? But if you can get the interest rate down, refinance at a lower rate, we can save the country for at least a few more years. Well, Jerome Powell doesn't want to do that. He's the head of the Federal Reserve, and thus Trump has made sort of wild moves, which honestly, people are very confused about whether it's legal or not. I'm not even sure it's legal, but I'm actually at this point not sure that it matters if it's legal for Trump to fire Jerome Powell. Well, Jerome Powell seems to be bending. It looks like there's some signs that right now, actually today, mortgage rates are lower than they have been all year, which is a good sign if you're trying to buy a house, but could go lower. And the signal was put out that in a couple months, they're planning on lowering the interest rate. Now, here's the problem. The Fed has never once in its entire history lowered rates at the time that it would have helped the financial problem. They're always reactive. They never do it beforehand. And so when I hear that the Fed might lower rates in 2 months, that kind of makes me wonder what's going to happen in the next 2 months. I'm also not a professional economy person, but yes, the bond market is an entirely different thing. It'll take me another 10, 20 minutes to even describe the bond market, but maybe I'll keep that in mind for next time. Thank you, 706. Okay, we actually have a caller sitting here. They said they are down to get on the line before BTV plays, so we're just going to do that right now. So Steve Z, 707, in the waiting room. Prepare yourself, because here I go. I'm going to bring you up on stage. Here we go. Steve Z, you are on the air. What's going on?
What's up, Basil? How's it going?
Going good, buddy. What's up with you? What's on your mind today?
Well, it's funny you mentioned about emu oil. I recently just got emus. I recently just got some emu oil for like a rash I had. I heard it was really good.
Yeah. I have heard that. I've never tried the emu oil. I've never squeezed my emus to get the oil out of them, but I do hear, yes, mainly a skincare product. Is it working for you?
Yeah, it worked great. Well, I think it was the emu oil at least that worked.
We'll say it is.
I was curious though, how the heck do you get the oil out of an emu?
Dude, there are some things in this world that I wonder, just like, How did the first person figure that out? How did the first person figure out to squeeze an emu to get the oil out? I do wonder if, if I was going to make up the story, I could say, well, it's an old folklore. In olden days, when somebody had leprosy or a rash, they would cuddle the emu, they would sleep in the emu pen. This would have had to be in Australia or something. And that's how they discovered. I have no idea where the oil in these emus comes from. Because I'll tell you what, from the outside, look at them, just looking at them, I can't figure out where the oil comes out.
Yeah, you'll have to find out. Maybe another
Yeah.
little way to make some money.
Yeah, just definitely thought about it. Have you heard me give my most distressing emu product that I learned about?
No, let's hear it.
Well, when you go to Disneyland or you go to the fair or you go to medieval times and they have the giant turkey legs, not turkey, those are emu legs.
I like it. I'd try it.
It seems illegal. It seems like they can't lie to you and say they're turkey because emus and turkeys, they've got some very important things different. But anyways, there you go. Now you know my most disturbing emu product.
Yeah, that's good to know. I like it. I'm in for it.
Good.
So just a quick question. I get you and Gons, I'm sure, are sick of talking about it, but I am curious just because maybe you could save me on going on a deep dive. But so what is your scoop on Fuentes? We don't need to get into the whole Candace Tucker debate stuff. I just because I heard about him years ago when he got, canceled, banned, and everything, and I just kind of fell into the whole, he's just a racist anti-Semite. But he's kind of making his rounds right now on everybody, and he, I can't lie, he makes some good points on some stuff. So I'm just curious of what's your take? You think?
No, that's a great question. So Gons doesn't have a take. I've been trying to update him on this whole thing with Candace and Tucker and Nick and Elon and now everybody, which is a very interesting thing. First of all, it's very bizarre the way that this weird little feud has sort of taken over a certain aspect of the internet. And you kind of described it, but just so it gets my momentum going. For those who don't know, Nick Fuentes became internet famous when he was 18 because he was doing a show and would just say the most inappropriate things for the sort of time that he was doing that. Lots of saying the N-word. He was friends with Kanye. He would not pull any punches when it came to his thoughts on Israel and the inhabitants thereof. I mean, pretty much the quintessential. He kind of is the guy that the left thinks everybody on the right is kind of how I like. He's this almost plutonic ideal of the left's thoughts on who the right is.
Sure.
But I'll tell you this. I don't tune into his show. I don't watch his whole show, but I do catch a lot of clips. His clips have now invaded my X feed, and is probably due to the fact that I keep watching them, that they keep sending more. And I'll say a few things about Nick. Number one, extremely talented and charismatic guy. There are lots of things that are sort of not admirable about him, but the way he does his job, he's very difficult to look away from if you can sort of, get caught in the way he broadcasts, what he's talking about, his passion, but also his sort of laissez-faire attitude about saying what he's a very, I get why he is, has captured the imagination.
Yeah, when Tucker said he had is extremely talented, right before he bashed him, it's true.
It's totally true.
Yeah, no doubt.
And now, a lot of those other things are true too. The one thing that I think the reason why in this feud, the problem is with Tucker and Candace and Nick, these are all people I sort of I don't really care too much about, except for what they are, who they are, and what they represent sort of in the culture, right? So just for anybody listening, anything I'm going to say about these people is just purely like an analysis of the culture, their place in the culture, and like kind of what this means broadly. But for instance, like you say, you're saying Nick says a lot of stuff that is true or at least reflects feelings. That's another true thing. I have not detected a whole lot of lies necessarily. Now, a lot of it is opinion, and a lot of these are forbidden opinions. Almost every opinion he has is forbidden. Uh,
Yeah.
you can kind of, but that's part of sort of the appeal. Now, I'm not naturally attracted to someone who just does the rude thing for the sake of being rude. This whole thing with Candace, at least from what I see, it kind of looks like maybe Nick isn't necessarily in the right. I don't know if he cares about being in the right. I don't even know if he thinks about it that way or not. But when I see Candace, Candace is like posting screenshots of their conversations and stuff. And basically the whole thing is Candace brought Nick Fuentes on her podcast, worked with him for a couple of weeks to edit it, put it out. And then once it got put out behind a paywall on Candace's website, Nick started coming out and talking trash about Candace and the whole thing, saying, whatever, lots of stuff about how they tricked him and they made him look bad and these types of things. So it's really one of these absolutely nothing burger like podcast feuds for the most part. But right, but with Tucker and Candace, two of the largest, most viewed, most sort of respected on a broad scale conservative people, just constantly talking about Nick, it has brought more attention to Nick than Nick could have ever gotten on his own, and he's able to get a lot of attention on his own. And the fact that Tucker said that Nick Fuentes somehow knew his dad was in the CIA before Tucker, which is an obvious lie. We've broken down Tucker's lie. Why is Tucker lying about this? What does Tucker have to gain by lying and saying that Nick Fuentes knew his dad was in the CIA before he did? It does nothing but make Nick look really good. Or somehow it makes Nick look really good. It makes Tucker look really bad. So I have to believe that Nick is coming out on top. There are very interesting arguments for Tucker, obviously being CIA. Tucker claims Nick is FBI and a created sort of thing. Nick is objectively sort of the most banned person in the world. At least that was his sort of claim to fame, before this. I think that maybe they're all sort of playing a role in some rattling of the cage for the entire conservative monolith, because this will and has, I think, really, really, really drive a wedge in what formerly you could say was a semi-unified right, a semi-unified conservative movement that got Trump in office. And, they got to celebrate for about 6 months. And that's about as long as it would take for the dark machinations of, a very highly equipped and funded intelligence agency to sort of orchestrate a shakeup of the whole plane before it's able to land. I don't know how else to say it. Whether or not either of them or any of the three of them, whether any of them are knowingly playing some sort of role in this, I don't know. I don't really think it matters. But it is so suspicious, and especially during this time, and we mentioned it on last CCNT, it is a really weird time in the news cycle right now. There is nothing to actually sink your teeth into, which is kind of making the show a little bit difficult for us. But as far as the pattern of the news cycle, there's really nothing to latch on to and really dig into. And so it just happens to be that this bizarre, super famous feud between 3 or 4 of the most famous conservatives is like the most interesting thing going on right now, which for PSYOP purposes is very useful.
Right. I think that's a good point. I think, I think there's something there, either intentional or unintentional. I mean, the lie alone about Tucker, being the CIA and
So
Nick
weird.
for that earlier is just so weird.
It's so weird, man. It's just so weird. It's like me coming out and saying like, well, how did Steve Z know that I liked googly eyes before I even did? That doesn't even what, bro? You talk about your googly eyes all the time. Why are you pretending you don't know this? It's just very strange. And you
Yeah.
gotta look at the third facet of the triad here, which is Candace Owens, who is currently being sued by the president of France for
Right.
talking about Brigitte Macron, which is unprecedented, very strange, has never happened in the history of humanity. And they're suing her in America for libel, which is an incredibly difficult thing to do if you're a famous person. Basically, if you're a famous person, anybody can say anything they want about you and you can't do anything about it. And so for the president of France to be suing Candace Owens in America for libel is just such a bizarre, unheard of thing to be going on that she's going through that started right before this feud. So who knows? Maybe there's something connected there, you know?
It's also strange.
Yeah, that Nick guy is very interesting because at the same time, I'm seeing a lot of his clips, and like I said, once you start one of his clips, I don't know if it's the way he talks or the way he's whatever. Also, the sort of unabashed, inappropriate opinions. It's hard to look away from that. Um, whatever it is, but then there's lots of like people are putting like lots of mini documentaries together about Nick talking about postulating that he's gay, that he's this, like there's a very hardcore sort of anti-Nick media blitz as well, which I don't like. It's weird even in the conservative side of things to make a I don't know, suspicion about someone being gay like the biggest thing about them, like the most important reason, whatever, that they're in the FBI or something is because they're gay. And who knows? I don't know much about that, but
yeah, it's all very strange. I don't know what to think. Probably getting fooled, but trying to listen to you guys to hear what you guys think. Just I don't know. It's easy to get fooled. It's hard to know to trust, and it's good to hear your opinion on stuff. So I appreciate it. Yeah.
And considering, I mean, the biggest thing is considering Nick's just unrelenting criticism of Israel in every possible way, of course, in ways that get him categorized as a anti-Semite, but it also includes unrelenting criticism of Trump too.
Right.
I don't know if I'd say anti-Trump, but you could say that Nick is like anti-Trump. He is making no bones about it.
Right.
So, you talk about psyops, you talk about intelligence, you talk about orchestrating a narrative. If there's anybody who would be, I guess, motivated to do that, it'd probably be Israel and maybe even Trump or both.
Right.
Which then casts very interesting questions on, again, Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so weird too that it's so big And it's such a weird underground niche thing as well. So we kind of forget. Those of us on the internet who are on X or in the sort of podcastosphere, we kind of forget just how niche this whole, ecosphere really is. Almost nobody, if you talk about the population of the country or of the world, it means almost nothing to anybody. So the fact that there would be, such a robust psyop going on in the crowd to affect a relatively small number of people, it just says something very interesting about its like importance and power in the sort of ideological ecosystem.
Right. Totally.
Yeah. All right. Well, good question. Thanks for giving me a second to kind of rant about that. Yeah, it's kind of been hard to it's just another one of these things that are really boggling my mind. And there's been a lot of these things lately that are just truly boggling. And I really have to protect myself from just taking an opinion that works and that somebody I agree with has taken, because it's got, it's like almost screw tape letter status of
Yeah.
like spiritual psyop.
It really is. Yeah, it's crazy.
Right on, buddy. Well, is anything else you want to chat about?
I think that's about it. Yeah.
Cool. Right on, man. Thanks for calling in, Stevesy. Hope you call in again.
Bye-bye.
Later. Yeah, man. That is, I don't know. And here's the thing. I don't even know how to talk about it and describe it in a way that would make anybody care who isn't already aware of that situation. Like if you're, I don't know, if you're on X or you're in the podcast sort of community, that's like all that's going on right now. But if you're not really in there, I don't know how to talk about it or describe it in a way that would, like, I don't know, communicate or make anybody care about it, which you probably shouldn't care. Honestly, it's probably such a rowdy psyop that you're lucky if you don't come in contact with it. But yeah, that Nick Fuentes fellow is, he's something else. Okay. Well, there we go, folks. I saw some people come in and out of the waiting room, so I will just chill and see if anybody else comes in. Remember, the call-in link is right down there in the description. Click on that. Click a couple buttons you'll get put in the background, or the background, the waiting room, and then you can come on. But until then, I think it is time to go ahead and premiere Gonza's new mini documentary, Beyond the Verse. This one is on the return of Christ and what happens when he comes back. Here we go. Oh, that's not it. That's just a picture. Whoopsies. Whoopsie daisies. Let me click a couple buttons. There we go. Here it is. Let's go.
Most Christians know about the second coming, but they don't really know what happens next. Welcome to Beyond the Verse, where we will explore how the Bible paints a vivid picture about the future kingdom here on earth after the return of Jesus Christ. Revelation 20 verse 4. Then I saw thrones, and seated on them were those to whom the authority to judge was committed. Also, I saw the souls of those who had been beheaded for the testimony of Jesus and for the word of God, and those who had not worshipped the beast or its image and had not received its mark on their foreheads or their hands. They came to life and reigned with Christ for 1,000 years. It's clear through this passage that the saints, especially the martyrs, will share in Christ's rule, highlighting the reward for steadfastness under persecution, even unto death. It is stated that those who come to life reign with Christ for 1,000 years. While there are debates about whether that 1,000 years is literal or figurative, the point is that for a long period of time after the second coming of Christ, Jesus will rule on this earth. These points also set up the Antichrist and how he might attempt to fulfill these prophecies of the millennial reign. Isaiah 32 verse 1, "Behold, a king will reign in righteousness, and princes will rule in justice." This prophecy predates Christ's first coming and describes his future political rule on earth. Righteousness is the defining feature, unlike any worldly government that has ever existed. Isaiah 65 verse 20 and 25 describe human lifespans that are restored to near pre-flood lengths, which is eerily close to the 1,000 years of reign mentioned earlier. Death is still possible, showing that this is before the pure eternal state. Sin will be dealt with swiftly, maintaining order in Christ's reign. And even nature is transformed, where the predator-prey relationships are undone. It says, "No more shall there be in it an infant who lives but a few days, or an old man who does not fill out his days, for the young man shall die 100 years old, and the sinner 100 years old shall be accursed. The wolf and the lamb shall graze together, the lion shall eat straw like the ox. The dust shall be the serpent's food. They shall not hurt or destroy in all my holy mountain, says the Lord." Zechariah 14 verse 16 says, "Then everyone who survives of all the nations that have come against Jerusalem shall go up year after year to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, and to keep the Feast of Booths." Here we see survivors of Armageddon are required to worship in Jerusalem. The Feast of Booths, or Sukkot, is tied to God dwelling with his people, which is what Jesus will be doing in the millennium. It will truly be the intersection of heaven, or spiritual realities, and earth. In Ezekiel 43 verses 4 through 7, it says, "As the glory of the Lord entered the temple by the gate facing east, the Spirit lifted me up and brought me into the inner court, and behold, the glory of the Lord filled the temple. While the man was standing beside me, I heard one speaking to me out of the temple, and he said to me, 'Son of man, this is the place of my thrones and the place of the soles of my feet, where I will dwell in the midst of the people of Israel forever. And the house of Israel shall no more defile my holy name.'" Here we see the only time God calls the temple the place of my throne. This physical location will be in Jerusalem, in a real functioning temple. And the house of Israel, no longer defiling his holy name, is truly a restoration post-ascension where the Gentiles have been grafted in for generations. Then in Ezekiel 47 verse 1 and 8 through 9 it says, "Then he brought me back to the door of the temple, and behold, water was issuing from below the threshold of the temple toward the east. And he said to me, 'This water flows toward the eastern region and goes down into the Arabah and enters the sea. When the water flows into the sea, the water will become fresh. And wherever the river goes, every living creature that swarms will live, and there will be many fish. For this water goes there, that the waters of the seas may become fresh, so everything will live where the river goes." The supernatural aspect of this temple on earth will be this pure water that is expelled from the temple into the seas, where the Dead Sea is revived and the Edenic state of earth begins to be restored. This makes water a powerful object in the biblical account. This water is nearly supernatural, as it has the ability to heal and to give life, everlasting life. So even in this short survey, we see the Bible gives far more detail about Jesus' future 1,000-year reign than most realize. Revelation 20 reveals a literal kingdom where Christ rules with resurrected saints. Isaiah 32 and 65 describe righteous leadership, long life, and peace even in nature. Zechariah 14 shows all nations traveling to Jerusalem to worship the King during the Feast of Booths. Ezekiel 40 and 48 lay out a physical temple, the very throne of God from which life-giving waters flow to heal the land. What is revealed through these scriptures is that there is an eternal state. The eternal state is not merely a spiritual proposition, it is actually physical because it does restore all of creation, including your body. And we know that life cannot exist without water. If these descriptions are truly the kingdom Jesus will bring here on earth, the question is, are you living like a citizen of it now?
It is so interesting. For my entire life, I have grown up in faith communities that have at least paid attention to the biblical prophecies, end time prophecies, the return of Jesus, things like this. And there are so many um, little bits and bobs of information, scripture, the prophecies, all the little things. And excuse me, somebody is disrupting I don't know where it is. Okay, I'll leave it. There's so many of these little details, and what almost always happens is that something will happen in the world or some sort of development that sort of connects with one or two or three or maybe even 10 of these little details in biblical prophecy that are found all over the place too. We often just refer to the book of the Revelation, uh, sometimes Ezekiel, sometimes Daniel, these types of things. And we can pick something out and how it fits and find how it fits into culture and history and go, oh my gosh, look at where we are. Here we go. But there are so many more little things that have to fit in. And this particular set of details that Gans picked out here, specifically with the temple, Jesus returning to the temple. I was just listening to a discussion yesterday between a sort of Jewish apologist or a Jewish man. He was talking to some Christians. The Christians were not necessarily the most versed or the most, I don't know, obsessed maybe with end times prophecy, as some are. And so, they were keeping the basics about Jesus the center thing, which was great. But to hear this Jewish man ask the questions like, okay, so you think Jesus will come back? Yes, we think Jesus will come back. And he asked, where do you think he will go? Where do you think he's going to be if he comes back physically? And is he going to be in Washington, D.C.? Is he going to be in California? Is he going to show up in Kansas? There's a pause, and they say, well, I guess the Bible says Israel. He goes, yes. Says he's going to come back to Israel, says he's going to come back to Jerusalem, and specifically inhabit the temple. Now, there's always discussion about, is the temple, especially in the pieces that Gans just mentioned, is that a metaphor? Is that a spiritual temple? Is that a literal temple? Well, there are questions from the Christians to this Jewish man because he was just explaining how in Israel, they just did a rehearsal, a run through, say a dress rehearsal of the red heifer. Now they're calling this one a rehearsal. This wasn't the real thing, but this is happening right now where they pulled off the sacrifice of the red heifer, which is a very detailed, ancient sort of Old Testament ritual that happens at the temple. And they got we've been following, especially if you are, followed Derek Gilbert's work or Sharon, both of the Gilberts are in that sort of community where very well read, very well researched, they've got a keen eye for the global events that sort of we can see happening step by step, going through biblical prophecy. And for many years, they've been talking about the red heifer. And the red heifer over in Israel, they've been selectively breeding red heifers. I believe, funny enough, I think they're Texas Angus cows. So they actually are using American cows to breed a pure red heifer, which means that not a single hair on the entire cow is not red, which is very difficult to do. And for generations of cows, they've been selectively breeding, specifically trying to get the perfect red heifer to do this ritual that will sort of invite the Messiah. And in Christian terms, that's Jesus. In Jewish terms, it's someone else, the Messiah that they're expecting. But they did this dress rehearsal. They got a red heifer that was close enough that they said, okay, we'll give it a try. And they did. And this has been years in the making. And he was talking about how once the heifer is burned, sacrificed and burned, there's some ashes left. I think he gave a number. It was like something like I don't know, 80 pounds of ashes that are left. And they take these ashes and they're sort of used and distributed throughout the Jewish community for other rituals. And he was talking about how there's already been stories about, you know, the red heifer ashes being present when miracles happen and healing and things like this. But he says, these rituals, this is the Jewish guy saying this, these rituals, they're in the Old Testament because God wants them to happen. He wanted them to happen then. He wants them to happen now. We're just doing what God wants us to do. And in the Christian perspective, we say, well, Jesus came, and now we don't need to sacrifice animals anyways. He was the fulfillment of the law. And, we shouldn't despise the law being the law of Moses, but the law is fulfilled in Jesus. And of course, Jewish people don't believe that that's the case, and that working through these predicted or prophesied rituals to invite Messiah to come back, to invite God to move into this new age, to move into the sort of post-human reign of Earth. And on top of that, we see we've recorded, we've documented over the past few months the mainstream media suddenly becoming experts on biblical prophecy and writing very serious political articles about this group of Christians who are trying to bring about the end of days by politically supporting Israel and helping Israel do these rituals. And you have both a certain brand of American evangelical Christian and a certain brand of Jews in Israel working together, gaining power, holding political power, and step by step working towards fulfilling these prophecies. And the question wasn't a bad one. In fact, I thought it was a good one, because after the red heifer ritual, which he called this one a dress rehearsal, meaning that there would be a different one. But in conjunction with the red heifer sacrifice is when the third temple is built. And there are plans. I think they broke ground on the third temple in Jerusalem. Like, this is something that's very much being not just sort of acted out. And some could say that even just the construction of the temple, or even even the intent to construct the third temple, is part of this ritual. And it's a very good question for all of us to ask ourselves, because we've talked about prophecy. We've had very deep conversations about prophecy, and what is prophecy? Is it simply telling the future? Is it fortune telling? Or is it giving instruction? Or, if something is prophesied, does that mean that it will happen or that it is to happen, supposed to happen, or is instructional? This is what will happen if you do these things. I think depending on the conversation and the time and what you've had for lunch, I think all these things can be included. But we've moved seriously enough into the position in human history where all these things are colliding with the political realm. I don't think it's an accident that this narrative or psyop or social engineering project or whatever it is, I think it's tied in with Tucker Carlson. I think it's tied in with Candace Owens. I think it's definitely tied in with Nick Fuentes, where the the categorization would be called, anti-Semitic. I've been doing this for a long time. I have never seen, and it's of course tied into the war in Gaza, Israel's now occupation of Gaza instead of just insurgency. This whole thing, Mara Gaza, Trump's plan for Gaza, the whole thing. So all of this is colliding into one very frenetic period in history. And I think what we're seeing in the economy is a reflection of that as well, as part of the chaos. This chaotic moment feels very much like it's on the edge of something big and something that can't be taken back or something. We're on the edge of a step in the stairwell of humanity that only goes in one direction, doesn't go in the other direction. And it's very easy to get, let's say, what do they say? It's very easy to have some very strong feelings. I'll say this. I don't find it very easy to have very strong feelings about a lot of this, because maybe that's the punishment for trying to look at it from too many angles and to understand it. I like to think that it's a bit of armor from the manipulation that comes with the social engineering and the psyops and things like this. I'm much more interested in sitting back and just watching God do his thing, which I would recommend that be the course that people take, because you kind of have a choice. You can get obsessed. You can get it to sort of overshadow a lot of things in your real life, or I guess your immediate life, won't get the amount of attention or intention, or perhaps harmed by the reactions you have to things. And that's not good. Nobody should be watching their life crumble around them because of some very strong feelings about something going on halfway across the world. But when we really sit in faith and we stand in faith, or we swim in faith, whatever action you're taking, take it in faith. Because for each of us individually, it is totally out of our control. And I would say perhaps to any one human, it is completely out of their control. So really, who has control? Well, the only thing we know for a fact is that God is completely sovereign over all of it. Nothing happens without the permission of God. And so it's important for us to, I'll say this, oftentimes paying a lot of attention, having very strong feelings, and staying up to date with every little tiny bit of news that comes out about something like this, it tends to play more of the role of entertainment in our lives, I think. And not that it's just entertaining or we watch it and we want to laugh or whatever, but it serves as a really good distraction. It can fill a hole in our lives. And some people fill that hole with movies, video games, television, some people with the news, some people with some more unhealthy things, with drugs or over socializing or things like that. And there's a type of position that a Christian can be in, and Lord knows I've been in that position, where it seems that paying all attention and recognizing the very high stakes of some of these world events and biblical prophecies and letting that fill up all the empty space in my life feels productive. But I don't know if it is for me. It may be for other people. But we do know, because it's very clear, that there will be very obvious physical details of the return of Jesus, that all of them have to take place. They all have to happen in order. They all have to happen, not leaving one of them out. And depending on your reading of these prophecies, whether you want to ascribe a literal explanation, a metaphorical, a spiritual one, most of them are written as literal. But he's got other plans for us on a daily basis. And so we should try our best to find some peace in that. And one way we can do that is by calling into this show. It is a call-in show. I'm interested to hear what you guys think about that, or if there's anything else going on you want to talk about. It is totally, totally up to you. So we're going to do that. The call-in link is right down there in the description. What time is it? Okay, we got a little bit of time. We got somebody in the waiting room now. We're going to say what's up to Sir David G. Sir David G, you're on the air, buddy. What's up?
Hey, how's it going?
Hanging in there. How you doing, buddy?
I'm hanging in there. It's hot.
Yeah, the heat came back. It went away for a little bit, but it's getting hot again.
Oh no, it's always hot in Texas. I live in Houston, and I gotta work. They give us all the outside work in the summertime. They can't hold all the inside work for the winter. Heaven
No,
forbid.
of course. Yeah.
So
well, what's on
anyway.
your mind today?
Oh geez, man, this subject can take me in a whole bunch of different directions, but I'm going to start with a question for you. Where do you think we are on the eschatological timeline right now? Do you think we're still waiting for Jesus to come back for, I guess post-tribulation?
Yeah,
Is that where you think we are?
That is such a good question. I'm not going to lie. I have different feelings about this depending on the day. I don't know if I am necessarily looking at my watch that often. It's kind of like one of these things, the Bible talks about the seasons, and it's like I can tell that it's winter, or that I don't know if it's going to get colder or if this is as cold as it's going to be. I know we are definitely in this season. I think the pretty what's the word? The sort of material checkpoints we're seeing, like the red heifer, like the breaking of ground for the third temple. I mean, that's got us pretty far along. But there's a lot of these there's just a lot of these little season folks running around. Talk about the little season. Are you a little season person?
I don't know. I mean, and okay, so here's the whole thought process. So Luke 4 verses 5, I believe it's through 7, the temptation of Christ right after his baptism, right? He's in the wilderness and he's being tempted by Satan. He says something, the Satan says something interesting in that account that he doesn't say in other ones, and he says, you know, if you bow and worship me, I'll give you all these kingdoms because they're mine to give because it was relinquished to me. And how that is relevant is, okay, so obviously he's been given power over the nations, right? So wouldn't it stand to reason that him being in control of the nations, and when it's politics that's really driving a lot of what's happening, you could go on with any governmental institution, NASA and all their shenanigans, we'll just put it that way. There's just so much deception in the world today, so much distraction, right?
Yeah.
The division is, inside politics, outside politics, just generally in the culture, even within the church. Okay, so if I do say I'm a little seasonist, right? How many people listening to this right now are going to now feel a certain way towards me and think, oh, he doesn't know anything, he's stupid, or he doesn't know how to interpret the Bible, right?
Right.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? There's just the amount of division that exists
Yeah.
today. Who's at the helm of all that? Who's responsible for all of that? Is it God, or is it, the devil? And if you also look at Matthew 24, it's in Mark 9 as well, that all the accounts really say it. Jesus is telling the people right there in front of him, he's like, this generation won't pass away. He's like, he told the Pharisees, you're going to see me coming in the clouds.
Mhm.
What do we believe? Do we believe hundreds of years of tradition that's been passed down through the Bible schools and Bible colleges that churn out these pastors and these churches that have, the giant screens and the freaking rock show every Sunday? And I'm not trying to judge anybody. I'm not, like, please don't take this the wrong way, anybody who goes to that type of church. But my point is that we already don't trust institutions, right? Us on this side of things, the truthers, as you will.
Mm-hmm.
Who's to say he didn't also infiltrate those institutions? And he's teaching a certain way of looking at things. Maybe he's not he's not completely ripping up the Bible, right? Because that'd be too obvious.
Mm-hmm.
So my point is, I'll wrap this up because I'm about to go on forever. My point is that he's in control of the narrative right now, the adversary, right? He's in control of the narrative. So what do we turn to for an anchor in this storm, these choppy waters, right? Who do we turn to know exactly where we are on the timeline? And I am more inclined to believe literally what Jesus is saying in Matthew 24, Mark 9, that those people went through it. And what's happening right now is all leading up to some great deception. And he's building an army to surround the camp of the saints. Call me little seasonist if you want. That's fine. But that's kind of where I am. And I've reached this conclusion based off of, like, you start at the beginning of it all. We've all had the same similar walk, I would say, where we see the deception of NASA, we see all the Freemasonic stuff, and just by little by little by little, precept upon precept, right, we learn the truth of what's really going on. And who's to say that we haven't been deceived this whole time about where we really are right now, and we're
Mm.
looking for something to come that already came. Now, what's gonna happen, when stuff starts unfolding to show us where we really are? I mean, I don't know. I don't have any idea. I mean, maybe it's not so much the mark of the beast as it is, join the army and go fight this alien threat that's really, Jesus with the camp of the saints.
Right.
Where it is geographically, I don't know. I don't know anything. I'm trying to figure stuff out just like everybody else. But I guess what I'm saying is like we all really need to come together and realize that any of this could be true, right? We could be looking for the second coming to happen in the next 10, 20, 50 years, who knows? Or it could have already happened, but if we're not right with God and right with each other, if we're judging each other based off of something that we can't prove, I think we're wasting our time.
Yeah.
Anyway,
No, I mean no, I think that's great. I mean, there's some things for sure. I'm kind of in the same place that I mentioned before, and you mentioned here, which is like, look, man, I don't know. There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on, and there's a lot not going on. There's some things we can agree on, though, especially when we get into how to live with each other, live with other believers or interact with other believers. Because you're right. I mean, this whole thing, every little detail of the entire corpus of end times prophecy, that is just a fight waiting to happen, or a scoff waiting to happen, or if you're not agreeing with somebody's current take on something, the division that comes from that is simply just silly. And you can just, like you say, go back to what Jesus tells us. What really matters is the fruit. I mean, that's the thing to tell with anything. If the fruit of having two very strongly opinionated people on end times, having a very strongly worded conversation about the details of where they are, where we're at, whatever, if the fruit of that is not lining up with how Jesus taught us to be with one another, then that's a pretty good sign that we're not using our time wisely. But there is one thing that I think we can all agree on. It doesn't really matter. I mean, there's a lot of things we can all agree on if we really think about it. But one thing we all do agree on, no matter what side you're on, is that there is a deception coming. There's a deception here now, but there's a great deception. And I think what is getting people really riled up is the closer we get to that sort of great deception manifesting around us, and we can see it on the internet, we can see it around us, we can see it, we can even feel it sometimes. I mean, you add in the whole UFO thing. One thing that we all agree on is we are working up to some deception. And the thing about deception is that you generally don't know what to believe. You don't know what to count on. You don't know who's telling you the truth. And for most people, not everybody, for most people that are developing very strong feelings about end times prophecy, most of them are getting what they know from somebody on the internet. And I'm not even trying to give the impression that you shouldn't get any opinions from anybody on the internet. But I am even guilty of this myself, which is coming to the conclusion that the internet is real life now. And I've advocated for this attitude in the past, just to be, hey, you know what? Let's be truthful about it. It's 2025. What's going on the internet is, at the very least, a reflection of real life. Most people are living most of their lives online. You look at people's screen time, you think of where they get their news, where they get their opinions, where they get their friends, it's mostly all online. This sort of digital illusion, this illusory second dimension, this sort of technocratic attempt at interdimensionalism this world, this sort of Gnostic world of pure data that is the digital world, that is the internet. That is most people's, like, the majority of their day, the majority of their information, the majority of their opinions. And there's a lot of good stuff. I'm not saying it's all bad stuff, but I think we're coming to it. We're coming on the other side of that hill right now, which is, oh, actually, okay, I think maybe the internet isn't as much of our life as maybe we had conceded. I had sort of conceded some ground to the internet just because it was this, what's real life? Well, it's what's going on in the world. Okay, well, what do we know is going on in the world? Well, we get it from the news. Okay, well, where do we get the news? Well, we get it from the internet. So, okay, so the internet has some connection to the real world. Well, I'm starting to back off on that a little bit because the less time you start spending on the internet, in the harmful ways that we all do, the more you start looking around and going, oh, well, I can get a whole lot out of where I am right now because God is there with us. Jesus is right beside us. And there's nothing more real than the spiritual realities that we as believers get to live in on a regular basis. And if we are experiencing and living our lives primarily there, where God is closer to us than even our cell phone is, which is pretty impressive, then we're having a much more direct experience with reality than anyone else who is much more knowledgeable about something than we are. And although we might not hold the same opinions as somebody, when you're next to them, when you're with them, you have a lot more in common than, just some differing opinions about anything, really. You could name any subject. And I think there's a collision with reality, like real, true God's reality, that a lot of people, maybe they've been convinced sort of consciously or unconsciously, or maybe it's just, again, letting the robots train us to feel and be this way, where it's like we're constantly trying to avoid a collision with reality. Everything we do. I'll speak for myself. Much of what I do, I find, is an attempt to not have a collision with reality because a lot of times colliding with reality is not actually a pleasant thing. At least that's, what my experience has taught me over the years. But I feel like we're in this new era where the more that um, the more over the years that we've dived in to sort of illusory Gnostic data world on the internet, the hunger for like just literally anything real is coming back. And when I take a step back and I sit and I'm just am there and God's there and nobody else even has to be there, there's this really refreshing and, yeah, perhaps a little traumatizing collision with reality that I really found myself realizing, hey, I had kind of been avoiding this for a while. And that's let's try to spend some more time here. This is actually pretty nice. Not only does it feel better to like my nervous system and my hormones and my, the microplastic laden human body, but also to my spirit, something that is bigger and more receptive and sort of more sensitive. And it's a really good thing to do. And if my strong feelings about something if those start to get compromised, my opinions more than whatever facts or truth, but if my opinions start to wane a little bit, out of a recognition that perhaps it is purely impossible to know these things, to know something truly, which is sort of an affront, to come to the conclusion that, oh, actually, to come to a real knowing that it may be impossible to know these things. It's a real affront to the age of information, the world of technocratic, all the world's history, human knowledge is at our fingertips, and the answers are out there, and you can find them. And if you can't find them, AI can find them.
Yeah, and that's a trap too, is this AI, this false friend, right? Because people are so disconnected now because of the phones, because of the internet, and now you have this thing that exists in this realm that we're all being drawn into, and it's so sycophantic. I don't know if that's even really a word, but
Yeah.
just the nature of it is to just be so agreeable with you, but yet that's not the point.
Yeah.
That's not, I mean, if that actually did something for us as humans, I mean, wouldn't that be the way God would have designed it all? I
Oh
mean,
yeah. I'm
it
like
seems to be.
I'm like
Go ahead.
stoked when people disagree with me now. I mean, that's kind of the thing. If the problem a lot of people have is if somebody doesn't agree with you, then you're at odds and you're competing, and one of you has to win, and you got to be the one who wins. You got to be right. You cannot abide someone who thinks something different from you. I've come to realize that I enjoy very much when somebody does not agree with me, as has been displayed on this show in the past few months with a few real all stars. Um, I know tension or disagreement because I see it in the chat and people send me messages can be really uncomfortable with people. But I can be totally honest when I say in moments like that, I'm almost giddy that to to have the opportunity to actually sit and simply disagree with somebody without it being a life or death situation. I can like feel it in my spirit. I can feel it in my body. This like, oh, I'm not going to die. Oh, I don't need to change this person's mind. Oh, I don't even need to feel attacked or in danger because of this. And I can feel like where that programming exists. And I mean, praise God. I don't know if he just got in there and just like kind of started deleting lines of code for me, because that is just wonderful. Highly recommend that, y'all ask God to go in there and kind of give you some clean up your code, because that changed everything.
Yeah, that's cool. Maybe that's what I need to do.
Well, thanks for calling in and just really
Yeah.
bringing the heat, Sir David G. I appreciate that, buddy.
Yeah, hopefully what I said made sense and I
Oh,
didn't ramble on too much.
no, you're loving it. Everybody's loving it. Appreciate you.
Okay, great. Well, it's
Yeah.
always good talking to you, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, you too, buddy. Thanks for calling in. Hope you call in again.
All right, God bless.
God bless. Peace.
Bye.
Bow, 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 bow. See, folks, it's a good time. Let me check it. Let me check a look. Let me check a look. See where we're going. Okay. All right. Yeah, sounds good. Looks good. We're doing it. Okay. So let me click on this. I just want to give a quick reminder. Just a quick reminder. I see we got some new people in the chat. Maybe they weren't here at the start of the show, but you're going to want to do this. You're going to want to take out your phone. You're late. You're late to the show. I'm sorry. Did you not get the message? Did they not send you a notification? What happened? Why are you late? Well, you don't have to ever be late again, because what you can do is text the word Canary to 877-740-3226. And even you who are listening to this on the podcast version, you don't got time to catch the live. You got a life to live. You can't watch live. You got a life to live. You've got children to feed. You can't show up at noon on a Thursday to a internet show. No, you got things going on. So you're catching the show afterwards. You're listening to the podcast version. You need to do this too. Text the word Canary to 877-740-3226. Of course, I'll send you a text before we go live, but most importantly, you can text me back at that number. It's a good way to make connection. Look, we need to connect more. We need to have a different experience, because this prison, this digital prison that we've all found ourselves in, that has tricked us into thinking that all we need is some sort of timeline where the robots tell us what we need, what we want. No. You might as well have a direct line to your best buddy Basil by texting the word Canary to 877-740-3226. And I'll send you a little message. And look, you can send me a message back. It's a good time. It's a blast. I can't carry on a conversation with you. It's very expensive for me to do that. But I do see them. I do love them. And what you really should do, next level, is because you need to start meeting some people in your own area. And of course, you want to meet some people who are on the level. You want to meet other Canarians, which means you want to go to a meetup, which means you want to text the one word, meetups with an S at the end. Meetups to 877-740-3226. It's easy peasy. It's the same number, but this will make sure you get alerts when there's meetups going on in the world. And if there's not a meetup going on around you, you really should put on the meetup yourself, okay? And it's very easy. I get it. Look, if you're the one scheduling the meetup, that's actually best case scenario, because that means you get to decide when it is and when you're free, okay? So there's a big benefit to being the one to plan the meetup in your area, and it's very easy to do. All you got to do is look at your calendar and look around on the map and say, you know what? I am free on this day to go to my favorite place, and that's what I want to do, and I want to meet some people. So pick a place, pick a time, and just let me know about it. You can text it to me by joining the meetups keyword at 877-740-3226. Very easy to do. Like I said, just text one word, meetups, to 877-740-3226. I hope you guys are memorizing this number, because I can feel this number installing itself into my DNA. I'm pretty sure my children and my children's children are going to have this number memorized just simply through their heredity. 719 texted the meetup number and said, Colorado meetup. Okay. This is now the third person in Colorado who has requested that a meetup exist. So somebody in Colorado, pick a time, pick a place. Let me know. Maybe it's you, 719. Colorado's not that big of a place, okay? Let's see here. When did this come in? This came in a while back, but I'm not sure. Okay. This came from 832 on the meetup line. Said, hey, I know you can't respond, but I wanted to let you know. Maybe you can mention it on the next show. Sorry, I missed it. I have a Meta Quest 3. That's a VR headset for anybody who doesn't know. And I'm planning on making a Canary Cry meeting room on Horizon Worlds so that we can get together anytime virtually. Hello. Canarians can have prayer requests, prayer rooms, Bible studies, discussions, etc. I'm going to model it similarly to a VR church that I sometimes attend. BTW, by the way, they have a great VR podcast that viewers can sit in on live and hang out together and watch the podcast. I'll attach a picture of the VR church if you want to check it out for reference. That's what I'm talking about, folks. Man, it kind of feels like it's 2020. In 2020, I remember everybody was staying in their house, and that's when Mark Zuckerberg thought that the metaverse was going to be the future. It still is going to be the future, but it's just a little bit soon, Mark Zuckerberg. But this is cool. This is interesting. I'm sorry I missed this, but send me some more details. I'm not on a Meta Quest headset, so I don't know what the requirements are to go to this room of yours. But give me some more details. I hope you hear this. Let's see here. Treasure Coast of Florida. They want to meet up. Florida meetup. Come on now. Somebody get on it. Let's see here. Michigan. West Michigan wants a meetup. I'm thinking about organizing a meetup, and I'm going to start holding these people accountable. These people are talking about putting a meetup. 616 says, I'm thinking about organizing a meetup in West Michigan. Get on it, West Michigan. Come on now. Still waiting on that Atlanta meetup. All right. So there you go, folks. Get on the list. Text either Canary or meetups to 877-740-3226. And you can go to canarycrimemeetups.com. You go to canarycrimemeetups.com, you'll see some meetups that are going on there. In fact, I should just do this for you right now. I just started typing and nothing happened. What's going on? canarycrimemeetups.com. Share this tab. Show your friends where the meetups are. Here we go. Canary Crime Meetups. We got Kansas City area on August 24th. Get on it, Kansas City area, August 24th. You can show up at Cardboard Corner Cafe at 2 p.m. or Texas Roadhouse at 4 p.m. or get in contact with Casey. That's Sir Casey, the Shield Knight to you. Email casey009@hotmail.com. Kansas City area, do it. Chicagoland meetup, August 31st at Portillo's and Barnelli's. Somebody told me Portillo's is delicious and a great place to meet up. You can contact American Canary at protonmail.com. We've also, of course, got the Dallas, Texas area meetup. It's in Garland, Texas, August 30th. Where are you people? Well, go to these meetups. They're all at the end of the month. The 24th, that is Kansas City area. I think that's when Burning Man starts. Oh gosh, that's coming closer and closer. All right. Well, thanks for all the great reactions to the discussion last week about Burning Man. That was very fun. Great to hear people's positive responses. And if you haven't, you should go to burningmanresearch.com. All right, we got one more caller I'm going to take here. And go ahead, reset this timer. Let's go. Here we go. All right, we got Sir James, Knight and Servant of the Lion of Judah. What's up, Sir James? You're on the air. What's on your mind, buddy?
Hey, yes.
How are you? Your voice sounds a little warbly. If you can get closer to the phone, that'd be a little better.
Yes, can you hear me?
There we go. Yeah, I can hear you. What's up?
Yes, I bet it's been a while since I've called in, but
yeah. Great to hear from you. Did I lose you?
A little better now.
It's a little better. I can hear you.
Yeah,
now.
it's the whole thing of holding the phone in the hand, and then I'm last time I think we talked a lot on. Are you there?
Yep, I'm here. I can hear you. You sound good. Whoop. Now you're gone.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm still here.
Okay. All right. Shoot. Tell me what's on your mind, buddy.
Yeah. So I'm calling up. I noticed that the subject matter of your video, and I thought this would be a good time to mention. Can you hear me?
I can hear you great. Now I can't hear you.
How do I stop? I'm sorry. I got both things going at the same time here. Like I'm talking to you, but I'm also got the YouTube thing open. How do I close that? Sorry.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't know what kind of phone you're on, but it's yes. So you're going to want to.
It's Android phone, Samsung Galaxy.
I would just shut down the YouTube video, or you can go back over to the YouTube app and press pause on it. Because you'll be able to hear me. Oh, there he goes. Okay, we'll figure it out. I know, folks. It's hard to do. That is something to remind people of, which is when you go into the back room, it's not like a phone call where it'll be separated out from everything. You'll want to pause the video wherever you're watching it and come back into the waiting room, and because you'll hear and see everything while you're here on the show. Okay, Sir James is back. There you are. You there?
Sorry about that. Yeah, I had the YouTube thing playing in the background, and it was interfering with our conversation. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries. It's all good.
Yeah, so last time I think we called, I absolutely loved your discussion about Burning Man.
Thanks.
It was great. I tried to explain some stuff to my mom about that, but unfortunately, and I love my mom, but unfortunately, she's vehemently against anything dealing with the Book of Enoch.
Oh,
So,
interesting.
yeah, I mean, she's 70 something years old. That might have something to do with it. I'm not for certain. I
Just because
love my mom,
it's
and
extra biblical.
yes, she's of the mind that anything that is basically extra biblical is if it's not canon, then it's not to be trusted.
Right.
But if you saw what I texted earlier in the chat, I do believe that the Book of Enoch is for our generation. I'm 100% certain of that.
It sure seems to be. It seems like the Lord has aligned things in a way that the Book of Enoch has a lot to say about what's going on now.
And the more and more that I'm looking into other things, and yes, I do watch other channels and listen to other podcasters. And what if going to the discussion was happening in chat with the Bible, and I was thinking, I always say that the King James is the best modern translation of the Bible you're ever going to get. I do believe that error happened after the King James. When we got into the New King James, that opened up the door for all these other translations. And unfortunately, if you did a side-by-side translation, you will notice that many of these newer Bibles do not even have a lot of the verses in them. Some of them completely remove those verses.
The King James editions?
No, yeah, I'm talking about the ones after King James, like your New King James, your NIV, your ESV. If you do a side-by-side translation, what is it? I can't remember. I think it's like Bible Hub or one of those other one of those apps online. You do a side-by-side translation, and you'll notice that many of the newer Bibles completely remove verses, either completely remove them or completely change them.
Yeah, well, I actually brought this up with someone recently too, and maybe I didn't understand what they were saying, but from what I have been told, because King James does include verses of the Bible in the Bible that, to my understanding, didn't exist before, and some didn't exist after. I'm trying to check my work here on this.
Well, it probably depends on what. Like just recently, I felt really led to buy a 1611 King James, which the 1611 has the original Apocrypha, but even the original Apocrypha that is it does not have the Book of Enoch. It does have the Book of Esdras in there, which yet again is another set of books that for some reason people are against, which I don't understand why, because Esdras is basically Ezra.
Yeah,
I don't
it's
know
just
why you
basically
would.
renamed, right? King James
Yeah,
version just renamed it to Ezra.
but I don't know why you would be against that. But my point is, what I'm trying to get to is that basically, I think the reason for people coming up with all these different new doctrines, like for instance, the children of Seth doctrine. I've heard you probably heard of that, right? Where the people confuse the children of Seth with the sons of God. The sons of God, though, is obviously that's angels.
Right.
That has to do with the angels, the fallen angels that are the watcher angels that came down, as what Michael Heiser said, came down on Mount Hermon.
Right.
There's other Christian archaeologists that have shown proof of stuff being like right down there, just a few kilometers away from the foot of Mount Hermon, that kind of lend credence to back up what was written in the Book of Enoch.
Right.
I don't think we can ignore that. I think when it comes to, I really do believe that after the King James, with all these new Bibles coming out, that's what led to many of these false doctrines. I know there's some other more questionable things. For instance, a lot of people are very strong pre-tribbers, right? But if you look at the Bible, you really do read it. There's, I think it was in Matthew. It specifically says immediately after the tribulation of those days. Immediately after. And Jesus Christ said, you will have tribulation. So I believe the Bible. The Bible's true, right?
Yeah.
But so anyways, in my discovery, and like I said, I listen and come across many different things. There was a man who claimed to be led back in like the late 80s, 90s. Have you ever heard of this guy? His name was Tim Cohen. Tim Cohen wrote a book that's kind of controversial in today's, especially with pre-tribbers, is The Antichrist in a Cup of Tea. And it had to do with Charles, Prince of Wales, we're told. And after reading some of this book, I am starting to think that there's a very good chance that we are real close. We are real close to events. If even half the stuff in this book is true, then this man could very well be the vessel that will have the Antichrist in him.
Is this the King Charles is the Antichrist, or?
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
I think he could be the Antichrist. After reading this book, some of the stuff in this book and some of the stuff that this guy revealed, I know very few people are familiar with. This man had something called a investiture. He had an investiture ceremony, which is where his mother crowned him. That was back in the 90s, right? And the funny thing was, it was the first color televised, first ever color televised ceremony event. And if you see it really, if you ever go, I would say everyone needs to watch the investiture ceremony of King Charles, and they'll see things in there that basically back up everything written in the Bible. This man had these massive red dragon banners all over this castle. Like, everywhere you turn around the whole castle, there's these red dragon banners surrounding this whole castle where he was being crowned. There's an event that took place. You could say this is true or not. He's got, in his book here, he's got evidence to back up exactly. He calls it X lightning. X lightning, he claims, was supposedly when his mother crowned him. He claimed that and this was supposedly caught on film, right? That this X lightning went through his mother, went through King Charles while his mother was crowning him.
What?
Yeah. And so, according to Tim Cohen, that he claimed in his biography, because King Charles claims that his father crowned him, right? This is what he claimed in his biography. He claimed that his father crowned him. So my question is, so if his mother crowned him, but he's claiming that his father crowned him, who is he claiming that crowned him? Because I'm really starting to think, I know we're, who knows what the future may hold, but I'm starting to really think that this guy could very well be the vessel.
He did have that very strange painting after he became king here. Let me see if I can find it and put it up here, where it was this all red kind of weird creepy thing, and if you mirror it, it had some sort of scary demon in it or something. There it is.
Yes.
That's I mean, that was definitely a weird artistic choice for sure. Yeah, with the little monarch butterfly on his shoulder there. I would
definitely say, though, you need to, if no one has not done it yet, and I know this video probably came out before anyone was ever born, but his investiture ceremony is something I do believe everyone needs to watch.
Yeah, how do you spell it? Because I was trying to look for it, but
investiture ceremony,
just does all of it.
INVESTURE, I believe it is.
Investiture ceremony. It was in the 90s. Do you remember what?
1996. No, I'm sorry, 1969. 1969, and that's the other interesting thing I found out. It's really strange that a lot of these events take place and I know people have different opinions when it comes to this, but the year has the 666 in it, right? Right. I know you got to turn the number around to get the 666. I understand that.
Oh, I
But I
see what
think
you're saying, right.
it's really interesting that there's certain events that have taken place, like in 1969, 1999, that tend to point to these, that beast. But
I'm looking at it here. So I got it. It seems to be in black and white. Did you say there was one in color?
yes, there's one in color. Oh,
Okay.
I actually, that right there, is that his mother's crowning?
I can't tell. It says 1969 Prince Charles investiture as Prince of Wales. Let me scrub through, see if there was a.
Yeah, there's one that was actually in all color, because I remember watching it and finding out about this thing. And yes, it was all in color. And they talked about this being the first video color ceremony, right? Like this was broadcast worldwide.
Yeah, I think I found it here. This one's in color. Yeah, it looks like that one was just the black and white version. Went to the black and white people. Sorry about that. Yeah, that is interesting. He was real young back then. What was this? Just like a pre-crowning or something?
Yes. But if you
Huh.
notice, you'll see there those big giant red dragon banners around
Mm,
the whole
yeah,
castle, like along
right.
the outer edges.
That's interesting. That's very interesting. Oh, yeah, right there. There you go. There's one right there. We can see. Oh, yeah, they're everywhere. Wow, what a production here. That's fun. Well, he better get to it. He doesn't have much time. He's had some really weird things recently. When he spoke to Canada recently, and he said, "Oh, here I am," which he's the king of Canada. Canada is supposedly the crowns, belongs to the crown. He was making some statement of, some land acknowledgement to the native people of Canada, and called it the. Look at that crown. That's quite the crown. Called it the. What did he call it? The unceded territory. Basically, just saying like, yeah, it's mine, but I have it illegally, so maybe it's not mine. Just this weird
Right, but
stuff.
it's not. It's not only that, it's not only that, Basil. It is. Um, we've been distracted by all these other things: the Epstein thing, who's the Antichrist? Is Obama the Antichrist? Is Trump the Antichrist? Which I do believe is intentional. I do believe that was intentionally done. Meanwhile, this guy has been at. Are you guys familiar with the what do you call it again? The I forgot the name of the games. Not the Olympics. The other thing. What was the name of it again?
The Special Olympics.
No, not the Special Olympics. It was something that he was at, which was interesting because he was only there. Trump wasn't there. Obama wasn't there. It was the Goodwill Games. No, the what does he call that again?
I'm not much of a sportsman myself.
Yeah. So at this ceremony, they had the beast. They had the giant beast statue there, or whatever, like thing, the bull beast thing, and they
Right.
had these people with crystals. And they had this weird production where they basically had they had these people with these, like, in different parts of the world, and they all had these crystals. And then
Hmm.
they did this weird thing where they had their houses floating, like floating up in the air. And then they showed like the houses moving, all of them coming from around the world, coming to that, whatever that games was.
Like the X Games or something like that.
No, it wasn't the, what do you call it again? The Invictus. I think the Invictus or the Goodwill Games or the Commonwealth Games. Commonwealth or the Invictus Games.
Okay, I have no idea
Um,
what that is.
yeah.
Commonwealth.
So what's interesting is, though, we've been so distracted with all this other stuff. Meanwhile, this guy put out two. They're called the Astrocarta and the Terra Carta, right? The Terra Carta is basically him laying claim to the earth, and the Astrocarta is him laying claim to the heavens. And he just put these out just a couple of years ago. It was was a year ago. I think it was a year or two. I think it might have been 2 years ago, or I know time flies, right? But he put out these two cartas, these two seals, basically claiming dominion over both heaven and earth. And it was the Astra Carta and the Terra Carta. That's another thing you might want to look up. Is the Astra Carta and the Terra Carta. But I wish I could remember the name of that game. I think it was called the Commonwealth Games. It might have been the Commonwealth.
I had the Commonwealth Games up there a second ago here. Terracarta, not terracotta.
Yeah, Terracarta and Astra Carta. He made these two seals, and he made a big to do of it, of unveiling these things, right? Like, he had them covered up, they had them veiled, and he was showing off these things. But I was thinking to myself, because it mentions in the Bible about the Antichrist and, the bold claims he would make. And it just seems to me as if this man is doing exactly that. He's laying claim to both heaven and earth.
Yeah, that is kind of his thing. Once you're the king of England, you kind of got to start looking for other things to lay claim to. Yeah, the Terra Carta, Astra Carta here as part of the Sustainable Markets Initiative. Ah, yes, of course. The former Prince of Wales launched the Terra Carta in 2021, a mandate that puts sustainability back at the heart of the private sector. Yeah, this is kind of his thing. He is so weird to see just how obsessed he's latched on to. I mean, this is a great example. The climate change sort of WEF milieu just being the excuse for just literally anything they want to do. And they just kind of do it because, climate change. Here they've got these seals up here. Let's see if I can see them any bigger. Show me your seals. I'll open this in a new tab. Oh, it's very small. Let's make you bigger. Astro Carta.
Supposedly he's also the one, according to what Cohen claimed, when the term came out, Great Reset, everyone thought it was Klaus Schwab. But according to Cohen, the first to actually tweet that was King Charles.
Yeah, that sounds
Great Reset.
All right. Well, we'll have to keep our eyes on this guy. He's certainly up to something, man. I don't know what to say about this guy, but he's certainly, if anybody is looking for a way to become relevant again, being the Antichrist that would certainly be a sneaky, honestly, to me, an unexpected Antichrist, because he just seems so, what's the word? He just seems so irrelevant nowadays, but that would be a very sneaky way for that to come about here.
Well, it's not only that, but I heard a lot of people say, well, the Antichrist or whatever would have to have a lot of money, right? He would have to have a lot of power. But I think, another thing that Cohen had mentioned was this man literally, because he owns the Commonwealth, right? The Commonwealth states, the countries that make up the British Commonwealth.
Mm-hmm.
And according to what he claims, that the wealth of those Commonwealth nations are his. He has access to that wealth.
Right.
So who knows what he's going to do with all that wealth? Who knows? I know that, like I said, I've heard many different things, and I've heard did we as America truly gain our independence from Britain? I've often wondered when it mentions in the Bible about those two wings of the eagle being plucked off the lion.
Right.
I've often wondered, are those two wings of the eagle, is that us? And I think it's very well possible that those two wings are us.
So this is Tim Cohen, the Antichrist, and a cup of tea there, if anybody's interested. Let me pull that up so people can take a look.
Yes, he's got his seal on there, his family crest seal thing on here. And he claims, and if you even see the seal pretty much speaks for itself, because he's got the red dragon right there on the bottom right. Now, he claims what happened was when this man got crowned recently, the dragon is no longer not touching the outer part of the, as he calls it, I can't remember what he called it, the chamber that the dragon is housed in. The dragon is actually touching the outer part of the chamber that he's stuck in. You see that right there?
Mm-hmm.
You see the red dragon at the bottom?
Yep, looking at him. Yep, he's touching it. You found a way. Let's see here. Can I zoom?
The original book that I bought of his was the original seal of his, where the dragon's not touching. This one is. He did a deep study into this. These what do you call them? These seals. These
the coat of arms.
Yeah, the coat of arms. He did a deep study into this. These things are big deals to them, to the royalty, to the, these, as he calls them, they're living, breathing. They are basically, they're made, but his is like unique. Like no one can have this coat of arms except for him, right?
Yeah, it wouldn't mean much if just anybody could grab it. That makes sense.
So, like a lot of people claim, well, no, it's not him that's going to be the Antichrist. It's going to be his son. But there's no way that could be. It wouldn't line up.
There's also the interpretation of the words that there will be antichrists, and that there may be multiple antichrists, or the spirit of antichrist sort of playing through different people. It could be both, but yeah, I'm seeing what this guy's seeing. So go check it out. Let's see. It was 1998, The Antichrist and a Cup of Tea by Tim Cohen. It's got the very coat of armsy looking coat of arms out there. Man, they love all these animals, these magical animals. They got the two lions. Let's see, maybe even more lions. There's like 6 lions on this sucker. Unicorn.
According to what he claims, if this is to be true, right? That verse in Revelation 13, that refers to his coat of arms.
Yeah.
He broke down that whole Revelation 13, and he's got it in the book of exactly, like, if you break it down, everything that's in his coat matches up with which is talked about, or which is written down in Revelation 13.
Yeah, right on. Well, thanks for bringing this to our attention, buddy. I'm sure we're going to have a bunch of people starting to dive into this. So, Sir James, appreciate you calling in, buddy. Thank you so much. I hope you call in again.
You're welcome. Thank you very much. And you guys continue this awesome ministry, because you guys are the ones that kind of keep me sane when it comes to all the news out there. Because, if I were listening to like any other mainstream media, I would probably be bonkers by now.
We'd all be losing it, man. Really appreciate you saying that. Hope to talk to you again soon. Thanks, buddy.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye. The Antichrist and a Cup of Tea. What a cheeky name for a little conspiracy theory book here. You can't see it if you're just listening, but it's The Antichrist, and the Antichrist is in black letters and is in red letters, and a cup of tea is in black letters. I don't know why this is the case, but there must be some importance about it. Okay. All right, folks. I'm starting to drift a little bit here. Let me take a look at what we got. Okay, we got our 2 hours in. We got one more friend who's sitting in the waiting room. We're going to say what's up to Mr. Be More Busker, and then we'll call it a day. So what's up, Be More Busker? How you doing, buddy?
Hello, Basil. How you doing? I'm doing good.
Good. What's up? What's on your mind today?
Well, he brought up Klaus Schwab, so I had to put up that picture. I mean, it's just so fucking, excuse me, so very
It says he's got his sort of Japanese Darth Vader outfit
yeah,
on.
he's
With
got
his
well he
space
looks like something
conquering shoulder pads.
out of Star Wars, and that looks like a Star Wars garb. So I just put that. I found that font, and I put his name over top that
You
picture.
nailed it. You nailed it, buddy.
Yeah,
Bring in
dude.
the heat. I kind of miss Klaus Schwab at this point.
I know, dude. Like I hated him, but now I didn't hate him. I really just liked him. You know.
I mean, I liked him because he was so cartoonish. It was just
Right?
so in your face how cartoonish this man who wanted to take over the world was. It was like the perfect creature for the perfect moment that nobody who looked at him and listened to the words he said could come away thinking anything else besides, oh, this guy is like wants to hurt me very badly. This is like a weird Darth Vader character.
Yeah.
Oh, he
You
says
will
that we
own
need
nothing,
to.
and you will be happy.
Yeah, and you know the clips of him saying that, like, you know, you're going out there, you're telling people, no, seriously, WEF and connected with
Yeah.
Biden and the EU, and they all want they want you to own nothing and be happy, and people go, that you're crazy, that's a conspiracy, and you just go on YouTube and he says it a bunch. You're like, here's a compilation of this guy trying to tell you that you'll own nothing and be happy. It was just the perfect thing to wake
You
up a bunch of people.
you found a compilation?
Yeah. What, you haven't found compilations? You don't find
I mean,
compilations?
I mean,
Part of
just like,
half of my job is just like searching for compilations of
oh,
Biden,
dude,
like
we gotta
saying all
see
the
this.
crazy
We gotta
stuff.
see this. Do you
Yeah.
have it up? Like, can you bring
No,
it up?
I don't have it on now, but I can see if I can pull it up. Let's see. I didn't come
You
prepared.
will own nothing, and you will be
Although I
happy.
should put a Klaus Schwab. I should just make it a hotkey on my keyboard to play some Klaus Schwab. Klaus Schwab.
I wonder what he's doing with his life.
Let's do
He's
this.
probably living in a bunker.
I don't know, man. He had such a weird exit from WEF. I hope he's okay. I don't know if he is. He had like a bunch of crazy stuff go down right there at the end, where he was getting sued by some people, and then he got caught for fraud at the WEF, and then his whole family was caught for fraud at the WEF. Which, look, I don't know if he actually committed all those things. It doesn't really matter because it was quite obvious that they were just done with him. Like you know, whoever is above Klaus was like, you're done. And if you don't leave, we'll find a way to make you leave. And they did. And that's
now we got the one guy with the one red eye. And what's his name?
Yeah, I forgot that guy's name. Yeah, we have not had an update on that fella, but we can find out who he is. Head of WEF.
Or one black
No,
guy.
Borg Brendy. Let's see if
I knew it was different.
Yeah, he is a weirdo. And the picture that they used, they took off his weird red eye picture. It was on the WEF website. It was his headshot. He had a one blood red eye. They changed it out. Maybe they photoshopped it here. Let me see if
that might be an older picture. I mean, before his transformation, whatever happened to him.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just weird. Like, you'd think if he had that, he would wear an eye patch or something.
Yeah, it was really bizarre. This is also very strange. I am having a hard time finding the red eye picture. WEF leader, red eye. Come on, give it to me. Oh, this was Peter. Yes, Peter Brabeck, Letmath.
That's right.
So he was the interim guy who took over, and they have just totally scrubbed the red eye picture. Give it to me.
I mean, I remember seeing tons of it, even like video of it too. I should have screen capped it.
Yeah, here it is. Somebody put some text over it, but it's here. Here we go. It's such a small resolution, but I'll put it up here. Boop. There he is. What a beautiful
Yeah,
man.
there you go.
It's so spooky. So spooky.
It looks like, I don't know if it's exactly red, but it looks like I don't know, man. His iris just looks really strange, and yeah.
Yeah, no, it's not okay. He's not okay. I don't think he's the boss anymore. So that's good to know.
He's like another villain running the WEF. It's crazy.
Yeah, I can't just get a normal guy. It's impossible. You just can't do it.
Shoot.
All these lizards, they're picking all these lizards whose skin suits are falling apart.
Yeah, totally.
Poor
Oh,
guy.
man.
Oh my gosh. And his eye is still red in this picture, too. Okay. So they were trying to tell us that he had just busted a blood vessel or something. And that, it's just a bad picture. But I'm finding a bunch of other pictures of it, too. Look at this one.
Yeah, I saw a bunch of them, too. Yeah, look at that. Look at it. Oh, my God.
That's who he is, man. Not trying to eyeball shame this guy, but
I wonder if that's fixable, whatever that is.
it's fixable by firing him, is what it is. There we go.
Or maybe they brought it upon him to make him the walking one-eyed symbolism.
Yeah, it's probably that. That's probably
Who
what it
knows?
is. Yeah, you guessed it. That's probably.
Yeah,
Well,
man.
you got anything on else on your mind today, buddy? Is anything rattling around in there?
Oh no, I just hanging out, trying to make the best of my life anyway. But it was good to talk to you again.
That's all you can do, man. I'm glad to hear it. We just got to keep doing that day by day, and most of the time it doesn't feel like anything's happening, but once in a while, by the grace of God, we'll get a glimpse of.
And I like your new VR set, dude.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I like it too.
I mean, like the googly eyes are kind of poking off of it, but still, it does the trick.
Yeah, I'll have to adjust some things there. It is significantly more comfortable. It's got like it's blowing like air on my eyeballs too, so it's not fogging up. It's good though. It's got like a ventilation system, so my eyeballs aren't sweating back here. It's much more natural. It feels much better. It didn't occur to me that working on a 5-year-old VR headset would be so far behind, but the tech has really come very far.
Yeah, like once you got something, they have to really outdo it, or maybe it had an expiration date on it. Just like everything I have, like it seems to have an expiration of its own, like it's built in.
Planned obsolescence, I think.
Yes.
Planned obsolescence, which I'm sure will come soon. But yeah, I don't know why I didn't do this earlier. Well, one reason is I had to really call in some favors to get a test drive on this one. So you got to save your favors once in a while. But yeah, I'm happy with it. It feels much more natural while I'm in here too. It's much less distracting.
And you don't have to do that thing. Don't have to control anything with your hands.
Nope. I can move stuff around just with my fingers like this.
Really?
Yeah, but I don't have to hold those controllers. Those things were sketchy. Like I can just move stuff around, make it smaller, make it bigger. Yeah, it's pretty dope. There's cameras all over this thing, which is a little unfortunate, but that's okay. I've basically made my office into a skiff. Like Congress people have to go in that special room to learn the secrets. I've kind of made my office into a skiff where it's just like locked down. It's got its own networks. It's got its own everything. It's
got the robot arm and everything.
Yeah, it might be the most secure podcasting studio digitally exists, which is kind of fun.
Basil's bunker.
That's right.
Good times, man. Thanks for having me up.
Thank you very much, buddy. Appreciate you calling. I'll talk to you next time.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Well, there we go, folks. We are doing it. Yeah, it's certain. Darren, Night of the Hungry Panda says Basil is now scanning his room for the NSA. I'll tell you what, there's lots of fun little pieces of technology that you can get your hands on these days, at least to just give you the peace of mind that there's no, secret cameras or listening devices or Make sure your network is safe. Make sure nothing's getting in and out of the skiff, baby. That's what Basil's Bunker is all about. But of course, I'm sure the good men and women at the NSA will always find a way, won't they? That's why we pay them. That's why we love them. All right, folks. That's all we got for today. Appreciate you coming in, hanging out with me here. Remember, we'll be back every Thursday. We'll be going live. Of course, you've already texted the word Canary or meetups or both to 877-740-3226. Appreciate you for doing that. And of course, no Canary Cry Clubhouse would be complete without Beating the Ducks. That's right. It's our favorite royalty-free stock music that comes with the streaming software. They didn't even know that they had created the anthem of a century, leading men and women into the future of truth, sticking together, and staying close to the Father so we don't get thrown off course with crazy storms of today. That's it. Monica, thank you in the chat. It's a fun show, Basil. I can't wait to call in someday. Can't wait to talk to you someday. Monica. All right, everybody. We'll be back with Canary Cry News Talk. Oh, I will be back on Monday with Canary Cry News Talk. It will be a solo episode. Gons will be at the chemotherapy with his father. Keep him in prayer. Keep the whole family in prayer there, and keep me in prayer. Because it's going to be a little bit like this. Pray that I have a few minutes over the weekend to try to put together a better jingle board for News Talk, because I cannot for the life of me find the time to do that. All right, there we go. Yeah. Go to canarycrymeetups.com. You know the drill. Do all the fun stuff, folks. Appreciate you being here. I'll see you next time. Make sure to tune in next time to Canary Cry Clubhouse. But until then, think outside the cage.